We are so happy to welcome you tonight to Congregation Har Shalom. Please come and find seats as the program is about to begin, and be especially mindful of the center aisle where the camera is located. On behalf of the Board of Directors, the clergy, staff, and family of Congregation Har Shalom, it is truly an honor to welcome all of you to our beautiful synagogue for this JCRC annual meeting. We love collaborating with JCRC. We love hosting JCRC events here at Har Shalom, whether it's the annual meeting or a legislative breakfast or a conversation with the superintendent. We love having this organization because there is no one who promotes and protects the interests of the Jewish community the way that JCRC does. Thanks for that. There's no organization with the reach and contacts and influence and resources of our JCRC. And the professionals who do this work day in and day out, many of whom are here tonight, are, frankly, the best in the business. Speaking of the best in the business, I want to wish Mazal Tov to Ron Halber on the graduation of his youngest daughter from middle school tonight. That is not an event to be missed. We also extend Mazal Tov on his high school graduate as well. Ron and Michelle should continue to have much Naches von de Kinder. I want to see how you sign that. Naches von de Kinder. You got it. Okay. Nobody could have predicted the events that unfold in this week's Torah portion. After years, generations of longing, hoping, yearning for the Promised Land, the entire prospect seems to unravel before our very eyes. When the Meraglim, 10 of the 12 spies, returned from their clandestine operation exploring the land of Israel, they share frightening reports about fortified cities and forbidding inhabitants of the land. The community is sent into an utter tizzy, and they decide they can't move forward, even though this has been a promise to the Jewish people that God has reiterated for generations since the time of Abraham and Sarah. How could this have happened? How could the people have given up on this dream of inhabiting their own land where they would be free of the dangers and persecutions they had experienced at the hands of other nations? Moreover, the spies were chashuvei ha'edah. They were the most distinguished individuals, the people in the community of the highest moral character and stature. They were called Einei Ha'edah, literally the eyes of the community. How could leaders of such high esteem sow chaos and despair among the people? The Zohar says that they were affected by redifat hakavod, the desire and pursuit of their own honor. In other words, once the Jewish people entered the land, perhaps they would lose their power, their unquestioned influence over the people. So in order to protect their high rank, their power, their authority, they challenged the Jewish people not to enter the land. This pursuit of honor, recognition, and fame clouded their judgment and caused them to lead the people astray. And this continues to be a danger and temptation of leaders, both religious and secular, to this very day. But there are a precious few who are not affected by personal aggrandizement, who are servant leaders, who put what's best for the community and constituents above their own advancement and honor. And one such leader is Senator Ben Cardin. Whether as our distinguished United States Senator, or as a member of the House of Representatives before that, or as a member of the Maryland House of Delegates before that, Senator Cardin has been highly regarded for his character, his integrity, his devotion to the causes that are important to his constituents and to all Americans. He doesn't grab headlines for making outlandish comments. He is not dogged by controversy or impropriety. Senator Cardin has been a serious legislator since first being elected to public office over 50 years ago. Senator Cardin, thank you for such a remarkable and distinguished career in public service, and for so nobly representing the people of Maryland. Thank you for being an incredible model to so many American Jews, including young ones. My own kids were all a part of the Ben Cardin Jewish Scholars Program. And thank you for never allowing redifat hakavod, the desire for personal honor and recognition, to overshadow the important work of serving the people. May the Holy One bless you and your family with good health and much happiness in the years to come. Welcome to everyone tonight.
Thank you, Rabbi Raskin. Thank you, everyone here. My name is Gil Prus. I'm the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Washington. It is my honor to be representing the Federation and to bring greetings at this incredible gathering. Tonight, many of you have already taken on the mantle of leadership in the Jewish community as members of the board and leadership of the JCRC, and others are joining in that great responsibility. As Rabbi Raskin just noted, it is important how we approach that idea of what is leadership. How do we represent others? How do we bring people in? How do we articulate a vision for the future when sometimes it is unknown and sometimes it is scary? Taking that leap about where we're trying to go and what does the future look like is not an easy task for many people. But all of you here today are taking that on in a wide variety of ways. And so I just want to thank you for all that you do for this community. JCRC is one of the Federation's most vital partners in the work that we do. They are critical in so many different ways, and not only in the most obvious ones that you may be thinking about. As a representative and partner with Federation and all the other Jewish organizations, working with governmental institutions, working with religious leaders around the community, working with people throughout this region, the JCRC makes us stronger both internally in who we are as a Jewish community and stronger in our security. And for that, we should be thanking them every single day. They empower others to take on leadership as well and strengthen the overall political activism that we have as a Jewish community, and enable each and every one of us to be more effective in what we do, in the goals that we have, and where we're trying to go as a collective. And again, for that, we should be thanking them every single day. Their efforts to make sure that particularly today, we fight the growth of anti-Semitism throughout this region by making sure that we hold our leaders who may not focus as much on it accountable, that we raise the issue and that we educate our children. That is central to what they do, and they have increased our work, and again, for that, we should be thankful to JCRC and for what all of you do every single day. It is a privilege to be partnering with you and JCRC, and I want to add my thanks to Ron and Gila and everyone else at the staff of the JCRC. And really, it's just an honor to be able to partner with such incredible professionals in the work that we do. I also want to thank Thorne Posen for his leadership of JCRC and the work that he has done in his leadership of this incredible organization. And finally, I'd like to add my thank you, though I will not be the last one, to congratulate Senator Ben Cardin on his leadership and everything that he has done. This community, this region, this country is better off because of your leadership, and we cannot thank you enough for what you have done to make us all better. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ronald Paul. I'm the immediate past president of the JCRC, and it's my pleasure to serve as the chair of the 2023 Nominations Committee. Being president was both an honor and a privilege, and it was really great to serve, and my honor to serve with such a great staff, a professional staff, and all the board members and everyone else. Senator Cardin, you probably don't remember this, but several years ago, you and I were on a program for the JCRC, actually, and it was one of my first times that I ever spoke in public, and I thank them for the honor they gave me, and then they honored you. And when they honored you, I learned really how to speak. Boy. Okay, now to the matter at hand, the election of new and returning JCRC board members. As usual, we had far more applications than seats. The JCRC nominating committee was comprised of Ira Bartfield, Ellen Blaylock, Rabbi Fred Dobb, Susan Jerrison, Joan Kalin, and Janice Schiff. I want to thank them all for serving on this committee and for their thoughtful deliberations and recommendations. We'll now take 3 votes. Our first vote, the nominating committee recommends the following board members representing organizations or denominations to be reelected and serve an additional term. Sarah Donna Lefkowitz with Hadassah, Rabbi Gary Pokras with the Reform Movement, and David Weiss with the American Jewish Committee. Can I have a vote to approve? Can someone raise their hand? Okay, and a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, any oppositions? Good, okay. For our second vote, we recommend the following board members serving as community representatives to be reelected and serve an additional term. Judith Fogel, Marianne Goldberg, Susan Jerrison, Alan Schulman, Roberta Schulman, and Ezra Weinblatt. Again, can I have a motion? Thank you. And a second? And everyone, yes? Yes. Okay, thank you. For our third vote, we recommend the following individuals to be elected to serve their first term as community representatives. Deborah Foyer, John Friedson, Lawrence Haas, Susan Crystal, Rabbi Jonathan Miller, Lawrence Sidman, Isaac Snyder, and Barry Weiss. Again, all in favor? Okay. Thank you, and congratulations to all our new board members. I hope you have a wonderful experience. I also want to thank our outgoing board members for their dedication to our agency and look forward to them remaining a part of the JCRC family. A.J. Campbell, Chris McCannell, Barry Perlis, Daphna Lazar-Price, and Johnny Shukart. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gila Franklin Siegel. I'm the Associate Director of the JCRC, and I am pleased and honored to be filling in tonight for the indomitable Ron Halber, our Executive Director, who is, as you've heard, celebrating his daughter's promotion ceremony. Huge mazzles to Ron and Michelle and their whole family. Senator Cardin, you would have no reason to remember this, but when you were first running for Senate, my husband and I were young parents in Potomac, and we wanted to help out. And because everyone had babies at that time, we decided the only way we could help the campaign was to throw an enormous ice cream social on our lawn. And my 4-year-old at the time, who now lives in New York City, was playing the drums. And you were so wonderful and spent more time with Josh than anybody. And we were concerned, what is, future Senator Cardin going to be doing on this lawn with all these babies and parents? And it was a really wonderful experience. And I've been looking for the photo and can't seem to find it. But I just want to echo what everyone else has said here. It has been our fortune to have you as our senator in the state of Maryland, and you have our deepest gratitude. So it's been a year, quite a complicated year, one that will unfortunately be remembered for an alarming spike in anti-Semitic incidents in our region and nationally, and for the increasingly graphic, blatant nature of the hate being expressed. In a world where graffiti on a public trail depicts Jews hanging from gallows, and where our staff, for the first time ever, responded to anti-Semitic incidents involving students as young as 4th and 5th grade, the JCRC has responded in real time with expert, principled, comprehensive leadership. And we did so while maintaining our robust advocacy and programming in support of the State of Israel, our social service agencies, and the community at large. In rising to the challenge of nearly weekly anti-Semitic incidents, we have refused to be cornered into a defensive, reactive posture. Even as we respond to shocking incidents, we are creating and implementing proactive strategies to build bonds of respect, allyship, and common purpose. This year, the JCRC successfully advocated for increased state and local funding for institutional security to the tune of millions of dollars, including increased funding for Montgomery County's innovative program underwriting security-related operating expenses, which the JCRC helped to create. We secured legislative affirmation of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism, the IRA definition, in both Virginia and Montgomery County as a valuable tool in correctly identifying and understanding this particular form of ancient hatred. We intensified our anti-bias programming, nearly doubling the number of students, teachers, and adults reached by our Holocaust Speakers Bureau to well over 9,000 people, and increasing the size and reach of our student-to-student peer education program. We launched 2 new intergroup initiatives to strengthen Jewish engagement with non-Jewish allies. Project Shema trained nearly 50 Jewish leaders to respond thoughtfully and effectively to anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism in progressive spaces, and our new partnership with Asian American Pacific Islander leaders will allow us to collaborate not only on combating hatred that is targeting our respective communities, but also on joint initiatives that strengthen our broader community. At the same time, we maintained our timeless dedication to the State of Israel, with up-to-the-minute policy briefings, each attended by hundreds of community members, and with opportunities to meet with Israeli and U.S. congressional leaders. We secured millions of dollars in government funding for our network of social service agencies, and thanks to grants from the Jewish Federation of Greater Washington, the Jewish Federations of North America, and the Welcome U.S. Fund, we coordinated Jewish engagement in the resettlement of well over 1,000 Afghan families in our region, serving as a valued resource and partner to local governments. All this and so much more. And Janice Rosenblatt, who led that effort, is here with us tonight, and it was really very sacred, holy work. All this and so much more. We can have this impact day in and day out, thanks to the enormous support we receive from our local Jewish community, from the Jewish Federation, and from our stellar lay leadership. We're grateful to all of you. And we all owe an enormous thanks to the JCRC's stellar staff. Around the room, they are here. They are the best. They bring expertise, nuanced insight, passionate dedication, and no small amount of patience and perseverance to even the most difficult challenges that our agency confronts, and who have worked particularly tirelessly over the last year. So if we could all give them a round of applause, I think it's well deserved. Congratulations to our new and returning board members. I really look forward to working with you on behalf of our community, and together may we go from strength to strength. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Thorne Posen. I still say new president, although I realize that tonight actually is exactly a year into my 2-year term. So maybe I can't say new anymore, but I still feel new. I want to join in welcoming everyone to this evening's annual meeting. I want to wish everyone a happy Flag Day, by the way. And I do want to say one word for those folks who had any difficulty getting out, and as we transition now back into the live in-person meetings, folks who maybe rely more on public transportation or for whom transportation is an issue. We hear you, and we are definitely working towards figuring out solutions to make it as easy as possible for people to be able to attend in every way that they possibly can. So with that, I wanted to add some acknowledgments and thank yous to those here and who have helped make this event possible, to Congregation Shalom and Rabbi Raskin. Thank you for your hospitality in hosting us this evening. To Federation CEO Gil Prus, who spoke so well a moment ago. Thank you for your extraordinary leadership and support. To my predecessor, Ron Paul, and to the JCRC Nominating Committee for volunteering all of your time and putting forth an impressive slate of diverse and talented board members who will serve at the helm of the JCRC going forward. To the current and outgoing board members and to the Executive Committee for your exemplary support and your guidance. To our new board members who are joining us and bringing your collective wisdom, talent, and relationships to our organization. To the outstanding staff of the JCRC, I can't speak highly enough of them, especially our Executive Director, Ron Halber, and Associate Director, Gilia Franklin-Siegel, who go above and beyond in doing the heavy lifting that makes our organization shine, often behind the scenes and without much notice by us all, so we owe them a great gratitude. And very much so to Senator Cardin, for your selfless leadership to the state of Maryland and for your unconditional support of the Jewish community in Israel during more than 5 decades of public service. And a special thank you, Senator. So on this occasion of our annual meeting, I want to take just a moment to reflect on where we are at the JCRC and to look to where we're going. And I have to say, echoing Gila's words of a minute ago, for now, it's tough out there. What we're facing, we are facing an explosion of anti-Semitic and other hate-based incidences in our community. We're facing increased polarization and anti-Jewish rhetoric and ongoing protests and friction in Israel's government and the global impact that's causing. All of which makes the JCRC's difficult role all the more difficult. And that role requires us to be responsible for representing the entire Jewish community with all its diverse interests. Of course, we all know the story of the room with 5 Jews in it and 10 opinions among them, and trying to pull together that in a coherent and thoughtful way is very challenging. For example, we're charged with speaking with an authoritative voice, presenting a nuanced approach, maintaining honor and dignity, and providing a balanced perspective to bring about successful advocacy. And that's anything but easy. So with all that, looking to the future, we will need to meet an increased competition for government resources with even more united advocacy. An increased increasing anti-Semitism, with strengthening relationships with other communities, identifying new allies, and expanding programs that educate others and fight bias and support tolerance and love. We will need to continue to grow, support, and strengthen our staff to meet these changes, which we've already been doing in hiring several new staff members in the last year and renewing our focus on staffing for the District of Columbia. We will need to continue to press for security of our Jewish institutions and partner agencies. And through it all, let there be no doubt, Israel is our family, and we love it unconditionally. As James Baldwin said about America, it is exactly because we love it that we insist on the right to criticize. So although we may disagree at times, nothing can break JCRC's broad and ironclad commitment to strengthening the U.S.-Israeli relationship. Finally, in closing, let me say the Jewish community in Washington, in the Washington area, is vibrant, and the JCRC has never been stronger. Despite the challenges we face, we must remain committed to the values which guide our overall direction. Our programs and services and our advocacy have never been in greater demand. And with that in mind, we will draw on the collective brainpower and talent of all of you in this room to meet our current and future challenges. And most of all, remember, the national anthem of Israel, Hatikva, is the hope. And it is with that hope that we will continue to carry us forward. Thank you.
Shouldn't be up here. What? Shouldn't be up here. I don't know. I guess they'll know it if he's not looking.
Backstage, we're the stage crew. You start.
Yeah, I do.
You do.
Okay. I think it's with hello, but I got to get my notes here. Okay. Good evening. My name is Bobby Shulman.
And I'm Todd Rosenberg, and we are the Maryland Commission co-chairs for the JCRC.
It's an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to pay tribute to Senator Ben Cardin this evening.
As you all know, Senator Cardin last month announced that he will not seek re-election next year, thereby announcing the forthcoming end to his incredible career in public service.
When his term ends in January 2025, he will have spent a remarkable 58 years serving in the Maryland State House and on Capitol Hill.
During that time, he's built a reputation as a problem solver, never afraid to reach across the aisle to get things done.
He has distinguished himself as a leader regarding safeguarding human rights, expanding health care access, protecting the environment, supporting small businesses, and promoting America's interests abroad.
Specifically, Senator Cardin responded to constituents' needs and pursued life-changing legislation, such as a bill that guarantees access to dental care for children in the Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP. This was inspired by the tragic death in 2007 of a 12-year-old Prince George's County boy who had an untreated abscess tooth because he did not have access to dental care.
Senator Cardin's unyielding support of Israel and his boundless advocacy for the American Jewish community also stands out among a lengthy list of accomplishments. For instance, he authored the Elie Wiesel Genocide and Atrocities Prevention Act to ensure that the U.S. government uses its full range of tools to prevent mass atrocity.
In fact, he's such a hero to the Jewish people that we can even give him a pass for being from Baltimore.
But let's get serious now. We also must extend our thanks to your lovely wife, Myrna, and your entire family for loaning you to the people of Maryland for all these years.
So I think we'd like to ask you to come forward now and join us here. With your, hopefully been to the gym this morning because it's not late. I've been enjoying you back there. Oh, good. So this says on it, in appreciation of Senator Ben Cardin for his more than 50 years of extraordinary service to the Jewish community of Maryland, June 14th, 2023, Cafe B'Sivan, Tafshin Fei Gimel. Hopefully I got that. I got a nod from Rabbi Raskin. The JCRC. Thank you. And before we let you sit, we're going to embarrass you just a minute more because we have a couple more nice things that we want to tell you. As a token of our appreciation for your decades of service, we wanted to give you that mezuzah, or that. But let it be, tzedakah box, sorry. Let it be a reminder not just of your work for the Jewish community, but of your lifelong commitment to tzedek, or justice, on behalf of all those who you've represented, including ourselves.
We know that you will treat the next 18 months in office with the same passion and energy that you have shown your entire career.
Even when your time in public office ends, we're certain that you will continue to remain a force for good and hope that you find well-deserved happiness and fulfillment in all your future endeavors.
I'm just trying to get my instructions right here. In my house, that was not the tzedakah box, it was the pushki. And we were expected to put some money in it almost every day. And that money went to Jewish National Fund when I was young to make sure that we planted the trees and did what we needed to for Israel. So it's a special award, and I thank you all for that. Todd and Bobby, let me just thank you for mentioning Myrna. Next year, God willing, Myrna and I will be married for 60 years. So when I was having a conversation with a reporter when I made my announcement that I would not run for re-election, the reporter did some arithmetic and noted that at least Myrna had 2 good years. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to serve in the United States Senate. I thank you very much. The JCRC is special. Special for many reasons. It represents activism in our community. It represents people who are willing to get engaged to help the community and represent the community. And I thank you for that because it has been an extremely challenging year, and I'll get to that in one moment. But it's also special to me because, Thorne, the role that you hold, Myrna held a few years back in Baltimore, the Baltimore Jewish Council. So I know the type of work that you do, and I'm very proud. I'll tell you one story that's true. Our Baltimore Jewish Council was extremely active in legislation in Washington when I was a young member of the House of Representatives. There was one bill that was pending. That was a human rights bill, but it dealt with the favored nation status of the Soviet Union, and there was sensitivity in the Jewish community because of the use of that to protect Soviet Jews. This was a little bit beyond the Soviet Jew issue, but they were still sensitive about it. So I'm opening up my mail in my office, and I notice that the bill that I introduced, there was a letter from the Baltimore Jewish Relations Council raising certain questions with that legislation, signed by Myrna Cardin. We had an interesting discussion over dinner that evening. So this is special, and I thank you very much for that. I want to acknowledge my colleagues that are here in government, because one of the issues that made it a little bit easier for me to make a decision not to run for re-election is that we have some really dedicated public officials. Senator Walstricker is here. Senator Kagan, I believe, is here. I haven't seen her personally, but I heard that she was here. Delegate Joe Vogel is here. I want to thank him for his help. I know Sheriff Wee is here. So I want to thank all of my colleagues in elected office that are here for what you do every day in serving in our community. I know we're going to have a little conversation up here, but let me just make a couple of brief comments and observations and why this really is so special. It's been the honor of my life to serve the people of Maryland now for 56 plus years. It'll be 58 at the end of my term. First in the House of Delegates, later as Speaker, then as a member of the House of Representatives, and now as United States Senator. It's been an opportunity for me to really move forward on priorities, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But it started when I started in Washington. Myrna was president of the Maryland Committee for Soviet Jews, and my cousin Shoshana was president of the National Committee for Soviet Jews. So I had to report home every night what I was doing to help Soviet Jews. And I got involved in the Helsinki Commission. And we got involved in traveling through Europe to speak out on behalf of Soviet Jews. And that led me to an effort with the late Senator McCain to develop legislation known as the Magnitsky Statute that imposed individual sanctions. It was novel and not supported, by the way, by any of our administrations, either Democrat or Republican, because they thought Congress was interfering with their foreign policy prerogatives. But what's novel about this is by penalizing the individual, you really cause that person to pay a price. They can't visit our country, and they can't keep their assets in our banks. And it's become the model sanction globally to deal with violators of human rights and corrupt leaders. So I am proud that that type of legislation has led to America leading in foreign policy based upon their values. And that's really my background. The values that I had in my community growing up in a strong Jewish community and working to improve our community based upon those values. This year we celebrated the 75th anniversary of the State of Israel. And we're very proud that 75 years ago, Harry Truman, against the advice of his own State Department, recognized the new State of Israel. He did that because he recognized Israel and the United States shared common values, and that Israel was a democratic state in a region of the world where there was no other democracies. We have shared those same values for 75 years, and we've shared a lot more as close allies. That special relationship is critically important for Israel and the United States. We share technology, we share intelligence information. It's been a reliable partnership. The United States has provided Israel with the help they need in order to protect themselves from incoming missiles. We have saved lives, and we've helped defend the sovereignty of Israel. That relationship is as strong today, stronger, as we've grown over the years. One of my missions in the United States Senate is to make sure that young legislators understand why that special relationship exists and the importance of Israel to the United States, and to make it clear that we will never tolerate the use of Israel as a partisan wedge issue. We're going to fight to maintain the strong bipartisan support for Israel. So I know that I know there's a representative here from Senator Van Hollen, right there. I want to acknowledge that because Senator Van Hollen's been my partner in the United States Senate. He's been a true champion for our community. And I thank him for his understanding and strength of the knowledge on why there is that special relationship between Israel and the United States, and so many of the other issues that he fights on every day to help the Jewish community. There's one more reason I'm very pleased I'm here tonight. And Galia, you mentioned that ice cream social. Thank you for doing that. You see, in 2006, when I was running for the United States Senate, the margin that I won the primary was given to me by the voters in Montgomery County. You elected me to the United States Senate. So, to Ron Halper and all at the JCRC, thank you for the way that you have invited me into the community here. Yes, I am from Baltimore, and I'm proud about that. I know, and we have some people who have been a little bit misguided and have left Baltimore and now live in this area. It happens, you know. Some people have come back from here to Baltimore, but it's a wonderful, the Baltimore-Washington area is a wonderful community. I often think about the decision made by my grandparents to come here to the United States to escape the pogroms of Europe. It was a courageous decision. And they came here. They had large families. They worked hard. My grandfather started a little shop in downtown Baltimore, sold groceries, and figured out a better way to make a living by selling wholesale. And that led to the development of one of the largest wholesale food distributorships privately owned in the country. That's entrepreneurship. So there's a reason why I chair the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee, because I think that helps develop the wealth in this country. And I'm going to continue to fight very hard on behalf of America's small businesses. So let me just point out, I'm not finished. I still have, thank you. I still have a year and 8 months in this term, and I expect to be extremely active during that entire period. I've had many conversations with Governor Moore and many conversations with our federal team. I work very closely not only with Senator Van Hollen, but Congressman Raskin and Congressman Trone. We work together as Team Maryland, and we're going to continue to do that. We had Governor Moore before us this week in Washington to present his priorities, and many of them are programs right here in Montgomery County. But make no mistake about it, there's been a rise in anti-Semitism that I never thought I would ever see in my lifetime. Look, there's always been anti-Semitism. I've always experienced it, and we know about it. But we've never given oxygen to hate during my lifetime. And that has changed. Last year, as you all know, was the largest number of anti-Semitic activity since we've been keeping those records. And it's been very dangerous. And we know now that the reasons for this is disinformation, leaders intentionally misleading people with information they know is wrong. It leads to conspiracy theories, and Jews are always in those conspiracy theories. It causes large number of people to believe that disinformation and conspiracy theories. They distrust government to be able to solve those issues, and they believe they are patriots in getting involved to bring about change. It gets out of hand, and we see that on the insurrection that occurred on January the 6th. And then you get the fringes that take issues in their own hands, and you get synagogues attacked, you get people killed. The reality today, which is different than it was just a decade ago, is that we have leaders that are given oxygen to that type of sequence. So I chair the U.S. Helsinki Commission. I'm now the co-chair because the House chairs the commission. We held a hearing on anti-Semitism and what we can do about it. And at that hearing, we developed a strategy which has now been announced and implemented by President Biden. It's an all-government approach, every agency working together. And yes, it does involve security help to Jewish institutions. Thank you for your leadership at the federal level as well as the local level on that issue. Over $300 million has been appropriated for security help to private institutions, including synagogues. You all were very instrumental in getting that done. A decade ago, if I visited Europe, as I did frequently, I could always find the synagogue by where the police car was. Well, tonight I saw where the police cars were, and I know I'm at a synagogue. That's the reality, but there's a cost issue, and we have to make sure we keep people safe. But one of the great problems is to teach about history, Holocaust education. We've now appropriated money for Holocaust education at the national level. We need law enforcement, and we need to build coalitions with like-minded groups. If any group is vulnerable, we're all vulnerable. And then lastly, we have to have accountability. We have to make sure that we end the surge of what we see in our community. Leaders must speak out. We can never normalize or trivialize anti-Semitism. We must speak out about it. So, I'm optimistic about our future. I'm glad that I live here in America, and I'm going to continue to fight, even when my term in the United States Senate is over, to protect our democratic institutions, to protect the values of America, to protect America's leadership globally, because I know that my children and grandchildren and their descendants will rely upon countries that share these values for the safety of raising their families as Jews. And even when I'm no longer a senator, I'll be sitting along with you all in organizations such as the JCRC to make sure that our community is safe and we do everything we possibly can to help our community. Thank you all for everything you do.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, Senator, and thank you for sharing those thoughts. We're going to get to some questions in a couple of minutes, but I first want to let everyone know I'm Stephanie Sanders Levy. I am the Financial Secretary on the Executive Committee of the Jewish Community Relations Council, and I didn't really have a bucket list until about a week ago, and then all of a sudden it was to interview a senator. So I'm checking it off tonight. I came across the beautiful Chesapeake Bay to be back here tonight. I know something near and dear to you. I want to share, everyone's sharing stories, so I want to share one with you. Way back last millennium, in the early 1990s, I used to come to Capitol Hill regularly with the Federation's National Young Leadership Cabinet group. We would always meet with you and the late Senator Mikulski, and you would arrange to have a conference room for us so that we would be comfortable. You always made us feel warm and welcome. You always let us know how meaningful it was that we were there and that we were changing the world. So tonight, I want to share those same thoughts with you. I hope that you feel warm and welcome here with the JCRC, that you know you've had more than a few accomplishments and achievements, and that you have changed the world for good, the Jewish community and Israel. And without further ado, I want to get to some questions. Now, my original questions had to do with your Jewish background, your accomplishments, your achievements, and the challenges. And you covered that, so I get to go to the tough ones, but I'm not going to make them too tough. We want to benefit from your decades of experience on the Hill as a Jewish legislator and learn from your experiences. As we continue to advocate for Israel and for security and safety within the Jewish community, what advice can you give so that we can create strategy and we can create argument, especially to the detractors? How do we reach them? Can we reach them?
It's a great question, and I was in New York this past weekend. It was the Jerusalem Post's 90th anniversary, and they were doing a forum. I participated on a session with Senator Lankford of Oklahoma. He's a Republican. I'm, of course, a Democrat. And the session was titled Red State, Blue State, Jewish State. And we talked about this issue. And what you should do is insist that history is taught in our schools. We're finding it's amazing the lack of understanding of history. The other thing that, I talk about my Jewish background frequently, and I talk about Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, which truly was something we always talked about at Shabbat dinners, and tzedakah, helping those less fortunate. But the other trait that was in my family was civility. We listened to each other. I could never talk the way people are talking today without having the wrath of my parents. We listened and gave respect to people who had different views. So we have to recognize that there are different views. Senator Lankford made an observation that I agree with when he said that about 80 to 85% of the members of the Senate want to work together. They are basically pro-Israel, and they want to find ways in which we can get things done. Now, what gets confused is that because we disagree with a governmental policy does not mean that we don't love and support our country. This will shock you. I disagreed with a lot of Donald Trump's policies. And during the years he was president, I loved America. I disagree with a lot of Prime Minister Netanyahu's policies. I love Israel and the importance of the relationship between the United States and Israel. So we have to recognize that we have developed over the years this strong support. Look, we're not even debating the financial support for Israel in any significant challenge this year in the Congress of the United States, because there is overwhelming support for that. We have developed that over the years. So we have to get back to recognizing that we have that there's new legislators coming that don't have the same knowledge. We have to educate, and we have to make sure we do not reinforce partisans using Israel as a wedge issue in American politics, because that will only hurt the support in this country for the U.S.-Israel relations.
It's wonderful, wonderful food for thought, and something we can carry away and work with our school boards, work with people we know, something that is right in line with JCRC's work. My daughters are in their mid-20s. Many in their generation are not engaged in politics. They are disheartened, they might be disillusioned, they might just be afraid of not knowing where to start. What advice can I give them? What advice can we take to our young people in our neighborhoods, our nieces, our nephews, children, grandchildren, about how to connect with our legislators?
Well, I don't know exactly where they're in life, whether they're still eligible to be an intern in a Senate office or not, but come and take a look at what we do. I have some really talented interns that are in my office right now that I speak with them every week, and their view of our political system has changed pretty dramatically by seeing it up close and recognizing that members of the Senate, members of the House really want to get things done. This country is deeply divided, and our legislature represents the people of this country. So we need young people engaged because it's their country. We need them engaged to protect our democratic institutions and our values. We need young people to listen and understand that we're going to get better policies if we take into consideration different views. And we're going to get more predictable future policies that won't change every 2 or 4 years. So for young people, they have passions. It may not be government as say, it may be the Chesapeake Bay. It may be saving wildlife. It may be climate. Young people are engaged in those issues. It may be to help people that have addictions. So get engaged in that issue. See how your activism can change someone's life. You can do that here in America, and you're not going to get arrested for it. You know, maybe you should spend a little time in China and figure out, you know, there's a difference around the world in the country you live in. We're blessed. But we can't take it for granted, and we need them engaged. It does not have to be in the Senate office, but it has to be somewhere.
You are clearly passionate about what you do, the lives you've touched. What will you miss most come early 2025 about the Hill, about the work that you have done so superbly?
I was going to say the ice cream socials, but I'll...
We'll still invite you.
You know, I've loved every minute of this. It's a thrill of my life, the honor of my life to serve the United States Senate. Being Speaker of the House was an incredible honor to be elected by your colleagues to be their leader. So obviously I'm not going to be in the middle of the decision-making on high policy after I leave the Senate. And I'll certainly miss that. But I will have other opportunities. There'll be other things I will be able to do that I couldn't do now. Now, some of them are pretty simple. Like having dinner at a normal hour. I mean, there's some really positive aspects to that. And being home with my family for holidays and Shabbat dinners and things like that, where I've missed a lot of that over the years. So there are things that I want to catch up on in that regard, and I am very confident that I'll find ways that I can advance the passions I have for social justice, for the U.S.-Israel relations, for the Chesapeake Bay, for those issues. I'll find a way that I'll be able to contribute.
Wonderful. We have...
And I can't wait to write a letter to Chris Van Hollen telling him my views.
The time has passed quickly, and we have come to the end of the session. I certainly hope we're having ice cream in our dessert reception. I wasn't responsible for planning the dessert. I thank you all for coming tonight, Senator Cardin.
And let me once again thank you all. Believe me, when you get an honor from your own community, this is mishpacha. When I get an honor from people who know me best, it is a special, special treat for me. My only regret is that Myrna couldn't be with me tonight. She sends her regards. I'm coming from Capitol Hill, so there's no way that we could come together. For those of you who know the traffic patterns, that is absolutely impossible. But thank you for this incredible honor, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent you.